Hey folks, welcome back to the Overflow. My name is Micah Curtis.
And I'm Alex Baldwin, and good God, I just had a good dinner.
Good dinners are always a good way to end the day.
Exactly, especially when you eat a full rack of ribs.
Mmm.
As you guys know, I don't get ribs very often. They're like a treat for me. So I decided to treat myself tonight because I have had a rough work day.
Now, were they chewy ribs or were they ribs that just kind of fell off the bone?
They just fell off the bone. I got added up to a full rack, but half of it was barbecue sauce, the other half was dry rub
Okay.
because gotta have both. Gotta have both.
I don't know.
It
Personally,
was
I
good.
tend to just slather mine with barbecue sauce.
Sometimes the sauce gets to just be too much, and frankly, I don't like it all over my fingers. Um, so if I can like half and half, I'll do it. Otherwise, if I'm gonna get a full rack and I don't get to decide for myself, I'll get a dry rub.
Mmm. Well, to each
So
their own. So before we
still
get,
tastes good.
yeah, that's the important thing. Before we get started, people are going to ask us, want to know our full opinions on the debate. Well, you need to watch the podcast for that. I
Yeah,
will just say the short version for me is that was one of the worst drubbings in a debate I ever saw since Ted Cruz versus Bernie Sanders. Like
yeah.
it was Mike Pence is good in debate.
Um,
That's really all that
one
can be said.
one of the texts I got from a friend after the conclusion was, and I quote, um, "Note to self: Do not debate the electric pence."
Yeah, pretty much. All right. Other than that, I have more gunpla coming in, which is always good.
Oh boy.
In fact, over the weekend on Saturday, I'll be doing the Crossbone Gundam Full Cloth, which is probably one of the most requested ones that have been there. So that'll be on Saturday afternoon. So for those of you who have not tuned in for those yet, Saturday over on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/BigMicahC. Hopefully, I'll see you there. And if you don't want to just watch gunplay, it's a good place to just sit around and talk. So,
Mm.
all right, let's go ahead and get to the questions for the week. So, Hatman, where should we start? Politics or entertainment?
Let's start entertainment. I'm feeling good. Let's go ahead and continue the good stuff.
All right. Melee Brawler 64 wants to know if we're hyped for Steve and Smash. Man, fuck Steve.
If we're hyped for Steve and Smash, how many times do we talk shit about Steve?
We don't like Steve.
We talk shit about Steve all the fucking time. So no, decidedly. Actually, you know what? I take that back. I'm only hyped in the sense that I will get to beat the shit out of Steve whenever I feel like it.
There you go. It is the way that it should be. For Steve is the ruiner of good times. He never hits the fucking like button.
Mm-hmm.
In all seriousness, though, I really couldn't give a fuck less.
Yeah, I honestly I don't really care.
Yeah. Will Geary wants to know what is the ugliest mobile suit or mobile armor that is not the Big Zam?
That's a
Um,
hard question.
yeah, because a lot of them are really fucking ugly. That's kind of the gimmick. Um, Let me think here. Ugliest one that's not the Big Zam. Um, I think that the ugliest, and I legitimately think it looks more dopey than intimidating, is the one from the 08MS team that is like uber powerful. Because it's basically designed to destroy Jaburo. It is basically just like a giant spiky ball with a Zaku head. It's so fucking stupid looking. The only reason it's intimidating is because it has a big fuck off Death Star laser on it. That's it.
trying to fucking think what mine would be. What was that purple one that looked like it had antlers coming out of it?
From which show?
I think that was from the original series, Mobile Suit Gundam.
I'd have to look it up. I'm trying to think.
No, wait, maybe it was Wing.
Purple one with antlers.
It looked like it had like red antlers or something coming out the side of it.
Well, I don't think that was Wing.
I don't remember.
Let me have a look at the Google real quick. Let's see here. So, Gundam Mobile Armors. Let's see here. Let me just do Google search. Purple-ish with antlers. I don't think there's anything like that in Wing. Because there's not many mobile armors in Wing at all.
Well, fuck. I have no fucking idea.
Think. Purple one with antlers. Is that the one that, are you thinking maybe the Zeong?
Yeah,
yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, that thing was really fucking ugly.
That's it. That would okay. Yeah, that was Mobile Suit Gundam then.
Yeah, that was definitely Mobile Suit Gundam.
Okay. So I had it right the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, those things, those looked atrocious.
Oh yeah. Let's see here. Crystal Hydra says the villains in my Necromancer story are a religious order. How do I make them compelling yet detestable villains while keeping the Necromancers heroes and better people than them?
What?
I feel like I'm writing your story for you. I feel like I'm writing your story for you at this point.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna say, so I can only answer this broadly. The key to making compelling villains is basically don't make them mustache twirlingly evil.
Mm-hmm.
You at least don't make them all that way. Because if you do that, they will be boring as hell. But I can't give you any more advice than that, or else you might as well just contract me to write the story for you.
Yeah.
Which is part of the reason why I've been like more and more apprehensive of how I would write questions, or can you help me with my story? It's like, no.
Yeah, at a certain point, you got to pay for the advice, because it's not so much advice as much as it is a service.
Yeah, and I can't really. I'm a published author. I can't do that for free.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
can't. There's
and I'm an editor, and I do story consultations too. The only bit of advice that I will give you for free is you can make captivating villains by spending a lot of time with them. You don't necessarily have to make them detestable, but you can clearly make them villains. Take inspiration from villain protagonist stories if you want to find good ways to go about that.
I wouldn't even go that far. I would just say take notes on good villains. You
That
know,
too, but
instead of just watching it while you're doing something else or reading or on Reddit or Twitter or whatever, stop, get off the social media and actually watch it and take notes. Take notes on Hannibal Lecter. Take notes on Shar Aznable. Take notes um, on Vegeta and Frieza and these other villains like that.
even like an Agent Smith sort of character.
Yeah, think of like your 5 favorite villains and just go take notes on them. Like what makes them evil? Why are they evil? Why do I want to watch this person? What are the elements of their character? And to be honest, if you can't pick them apart and understand what those things are, you probably shouldn't be writing. Because that's, and I hate to be harsh, but that's just the facts. You have to be able to identify these things, or else writing is just not for you.
Yeah. I'm kind of wondering if maybe the story might be too much.
Yeah.
Don't write yourself into a corner.
Yeah, because a
If
lot
it
of
gets to
people
be too much, just try something else for a bit.
Yeah, a lot of people for their first anything tend to get in over their heads. And this, like, if you're already at the point where you're stumped, you might be in over your head. Maybe you should do something a little simpler.
Yeah, your first story does not have to be your magnum opus.
Yeah, don't even, because Inglewood was not mine.
Yeah.
3 Nights isn't even mine. Trust me when I tell you, you guys haven't even read my best stuff yet. Like my greatest article has not been written yet either.
Yeah.
Crocodile wants to know, have you heard of Iron Harvest? It's a diesel punk game set in an alternate 1920 and plays like Company of Heroes. Somebody has mentioned it before. I didn't really take the time to look it up. I don't like steampunk.
I've not heard of it.
I don't like steampunk, so it's hard for me to even give it a shit.
No. I've never heard of it, so I can't tell you.
If you like steampunk, by all means, I never saw the appeal.
Yeah.
Tyler Jorgensen wants to know favorite goth character in fiction. So gothic or like goth?
I imagine it'd be like goth, like a. See, I think goth girl.
Okay.
So.
In that case, Abby from NCIS.
That's a good pick. God. I don't fucking know. I'm trying to think of, like, who turned me on for goths way back in the day.
Raven from Teen Titans. She seems to be everyone's pick.
Maybe, but to be honest, it might have been fucking Lydia from Beetlejuice.
Lydia's a good one too.
Although I do like me some Raven, but I think that one's just too. I think that one's just too simple. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Lydia. Because why the hell not? Spooky season.
Damn right. All right, on to politics.
Is it on to politics already?
I think so. Let me double check.
No, we've got more.
Oh, we got a lot more. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. I missed it. Strikeforcer wants to know thoughts on the indie game scene and their progressive politics regarding how they treat their games as art. Well, I don't think treating your games as art is progressive politics at all.
No, it's certainly not.
I mean,
we were talking about games as art long before the indie game scene was a scene.
If you're not treating your games as art, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah. It really started becoming a mainstream conversation around the time Shadow of the Colossus came out, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, mainstream, not like, people weren't talking about it before, but because of course they were. It's just, it really started to get discussed around that period.
But yeah, that,
But
that has
I think,
nothing to do with progressivism.
yeah, but I still think the indie scene is too it's too progressive for its own good, and it's too incestuous for its own good.
I
Let's
would
be
say it's
real.
too pretentious.
That is a very good way to put it. Yeah.
Because that's the thing. Overly progressive creators are pretentious fucking hipsters.
Yeah. There's only like a handful of indie devs that aren't just pretentious fucking pricks. I mean, if you don't believe me, go watch Indie Game the movie. Holy shit.
Listen to Phil Fish talk for 15 minutes.
Seriously, that guy, I'm I'm fairly certain that he doesn't even breathe oxygen anymore because he just huffs his own farts so much. That's what's sustaining him. Jesus.
Yeah. Eclectic 1995 wants to know if Godzilla from the MonsterVerse were to show up in the Monster Hunter universe, how would that affect that world? Um,
I
so
don't.
you might as well just play Monster Hunter World at that point because like the main villain is giant lava Godzilla.
Oh God, it's burning Godzilla. Oh man. That'd be funny. Um, here's a counter question. What if it was Godzilla Earth?
Yeah, my answer is just play Monster Hunter World.
Why was Godzilla Earth made? Why was that a thing?
I don't know.
Who who thought that was a good idea?
I don't even know anything about it.
It's like it's Godzilla, but he is like absolutely fucking ginormous, like as big as a mountain, basically, if not larger. And he's basically like he and the other monsters have rendered Earth uninhabitable. It is stupid. It's so stupid. It's like an animated trilogy of movies that they made. I don't understand why the fuck they started out with. What if Godzilla was like way bigger? God.
I still want Godzilla versus Evangelion since Anno worked on Godzilla.
That is actually a thing.
Well, I know that the Nerve Mecha Godzilla is a thing.
No. Uh, Ava versus Shin Godzilla is actually a thing. Like, I'm fairly certain that is an attraction at Universal Studios Japan.
Yeah, but that's not the same thing. I want like an anime or a movie about it. But yeah, I've seen the model kit for the Nerve Mecha Godzilla, and it's fucking dope looking. There's also a Nerve Optimus Prime, which is also pretty cool. Let's see here.
Oh yeah, it was a limited engagement. Godzilla versus Evangelion, the real 4D.
Yeah. No, I want like an anime or a movie or some shit. Um, let's see here. Brian Boru asked, have you heard they're making a sequel to 2019 Lion King? Midnight Director is heading it. That is considered a good thing. Learn your lesson. Well, here's the question. Did the 2019 Lion King lose them money?
I don't think so.
So let's see how much money Lion King 2019 made. It's like, I understand that we're mad at Disney. Don't get me wrong. But, come on, guys. Like, if this $1.657 billion.
Everybody stop buying tickets to these live action remakes, quote unquote. They're awful. They're not worth your time. They're not worth your money. They're not worth your parents' money. They're not worth 2 hours of your children's time. Stop it.
They truly aren't. But now time to be objective, Hatman. So, 1.657 billion divided by 260 million. So, the film made 6 times as much as it cost to make.
Mm-hmm.
That's after advertising. No fucking duh, they're gonna make a sequel. Movie was huge. Like,
now the question is,
so you can't really say learn your lesson, Disney. The reason that Mulan flopped is because it wasn't fucking Mulan. Like, it had nothing to do with Mulan.
what were the other ones that didn't really do well?
Were
there any that didn't?
There aren't. That's the thing. A lot of people talk about how they don't like them, which is fine. You don't have to. Trust me, I don't want to watch the live-action Jungle Book. I love the original too much. I don't want to watch live-action Lion King. I like the original too much. You know, so on and so forth. Like, if they did a live-action version of the animated Robin Hood that Don Bluth worked on, I would want no part of it. Mostly because people would turn it into furry shit.
I think Dumbo didn't do that well.
It might not have. Let me have a look.
Dumbo, it looks like they doubled their money on Dumbo, but just barely.
Well, still, if they doubled their money, that's more than enough. And that's the point I'm making. It's like
the fucking Maleficent movie, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, people just kind of need to understand, like, they made not only did they make money, they made money hand over fist. And if your movie makes double what it cost, not only have you made money hand over fist, you have made money hand over fist and then into the other hand. And then that one got, and then you got even more. Like, come on. Well, let's be honest here.
I'm curious, though, how much of this is just an identifiable property and then Disney on it that's just drawing people in? Like, I know Dumbo is not nearly as popular as, Aladdin, for example, or The Lion King, which was at one point, the highest grossing animated film ever. How well did The Jungle Book do? The Jungle Book did really well.
Yeah.
Almost $1 billion. How well did Cinderella do? Cinderella, I think, is the only one of those that I actually really like. Jesus Christ, Cinderella didn't do nearly as good as The Jungle Book.
And there you go.
I'm really curious.
So there's no lesson to learn there. Like, at all. They're doing quite well with these films. The reason that they're hurting this year is primarily because of COVID.
I don't know. I don't really know if you could have an absolute flop with it. I mean, Lady and the Tramp, I think, would be the closest thing because they decided to put that on Disney Plus instead of releasing it theatrically, and everyone ended up hating it.
Yeah.
I, of course, blame the lack of Siamese cats in there, because how dare you?
They took out the Siamese cats?
They took out the Siamese cats because racist.
Oh my god. Fuck.
Yep.
And then they wonder why it didn't do as well. What is the one song that everyone remembers from Lady and the Tramp? We are Siamese, if you please.
Yep, exactly.
It's the same. It's the same thing with Mulan. I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
No, To Be a Man.
It wasn't even a remake. It's not even a remake.
You're missing my point. Is that these are musicals.
Yeah, absolutely.
So here's a brilliant idea. Cut the music out of the musical. I feel like the Where's the Beef Lady. What the fuck?
See, that's the thing. It worked for Cinderella. Cinderella didn't have the music bits in there, and that still came off well. But I think because it ended up being more of a character-driven film and executed better than fucking Maleficent. Maleficent was just a horrible abomination of ass. Jesus Christ. That is one of the 3 movies I actually asked for a refund for. course, I didn't get it, but
Well, yeah. But my
why the hell is
point,
Christopher Robin on this list of live action remakes?
I don't
That's
know,
not a
but
remake.
we're getting away from the point here.
Yeah, we
The
are.
point is that, you know, when you start ditching the things that made the original memorable in a remake, you end up fucking yourself over. That's the
Yeah,
lesson to learn. Like,
yeah,
but for Lion King, they didn't. It's like there's no lesson to learn there. It's like money is good, lesson learned.
yeah,
So don't let your hate for Disney or your hate for anything get past your rational mind. It makes you dumb. Just
yeah.
saying.
Disney is choosing money over artistic value,
Yeah.
and
But then again, they're a
that
corporation. Like, what else should we
well,
expect?
that's always going to be the choice when you're beholden to stockholders. See Transformers, the film franchise, for another example.
Yeah, exactly. Brian Gilmartin wants to know, what do you make of the modern media obsession with high school stories? All I remember about high school is being treated like dog shit, so I don't see the appeal. Well, that's the
It's
thing.
not even modern. This
Yeah,
has been going on for
that's yeah,
decades.
been a good long while. Here's the thing. Um, I remember, um, when I was a teenager, a friend of mine named Rachel, who I knew from church. Um, she was running for student council, and in our school they actually made you give speeches if you're going to be student council president. And hers was pretty good, but one line in it that I objected to was the statement of high school is supposed to be the best time of your life. Here's the thing, though. I realized this when, because she asked me about it at church. She goes, "What did you think of the speech?" I said it was good, except for that line. I'm like, but then again, I tend to get treated like garbage, so, obviously I'm not a fan. And she goes, "You are the only person that has said that." And I'm like, "Really?" And she goes, "Yeah." She's like, "A lot of other people agreed." I'm like, I really don't want. I just said, I'm like, Rachel, I really don't want this to be the high point of my life. Like, Jesus Christ. So she always treated me well, though. It was just one of those things. But I get it. But here's the thing: there are a lot of Americans where high school was actually where they peaked, or where they feel they peaked. I hate to say that,
Yeah,
but it's true. There's a lot of them that's sort of where they peaked. And then there's also high school or people in high school who did not peak there, but they're going to end up peaking there because they're so mad about the shit that happened in high school that they can't get over it. See Chipman, Bob.
mhm.
So yeah, um, that's a big part of it. Second is demographic. They're going for that. They're probably going for that particular demographic with what they're doing. That's part of the reason why Twilight was so popular. Is it was a story about a high schooler, you know, and then in a lot of animes that are set in high school, the audience for most anime are high school age kids. Mostly boys,
Mhm.
which is why, again, so many of them are set in high school. Even Devilman was. And I love Devilman. It's my favorite manga of all time. That and Berserk. You know? Battle Angel Alita. Alita is high school age. You
Mhm.
know? Um,
You go any further, you're just going to get into shonen.
Pretty much. Now, the ones that I like the most are ones that don't do that. But I know why it's there. You know?
Mhm.
And that's the basic reason. It's demographic. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that's been around for ages. I think because it's so identifiable too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, most people go to high school. Okay, most people remember what it was like to be in high school. Okay, why not? but
Yeah.
it's not. It's definitely not a new thing. I mean, how many fucking John Hughes movies were set in high schools?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Fast Times at Ridgemont High being another iconic one.
Isn't pretty much like most of Molly Ringwald's like
Yeah,
career based on high
basically,
school films?
basically yes.
So, and then she ended up starring in a show on ABC Family, if I remember right, which is about my daughter is a teenage slut or something. Well, my daughter is like teenage pregnant or whatever.
Hmm.
I used to call it my daughter's a slut, but that's just me. Um, but yeah, it's again, it's easily identifiable, so that's why they do it. Okay, well that is it for entertainment questions. For the politics, um, Creeping Pence asked this one before, but I guess we have to answer it again. Starting to realize I'm oversensitive. How do you grow thicker skin? Actually, wait, did we answer that one on the podcast? I don't
I don't
remember.
think we did. I don't think we. I think I pointed it out after the podcast ended and said I thought that was a good question.
Ah, yeah, you're right. Well, Hatman became dead to the world by reading B.
Oh no, no, trust me, that's not what got me thicker skin.
Um,
That just that just made me a borderline sociopath.
yeah, like, yeah, we'll just put it.
And this is like the fabled old B. We're talking like circa 2006, back when uh back when Guro was everywhere on there to keep all the new friends to save demonetization, keep them out.
Yeah,
So yeah, that no, I think just putting myself in a lot of social situations where I would either be embarrassed or I was forced to confront things that were uncomfortable or that otherwise just got me upset eventually turned into why the fuck do I care?
yeah,
A lot of that came with running Kotaku in action too. I'm not gonna lie, because shit got under my skin a lot, and eventually I was like, I don't fucking care anymore, and I quit.
yeah. Well, and that's the big thing about it is like you'll realize that some shit really is just not worth it, and you just
Yeah,
walk away from it. You
yeah,
know, and my thing is this is the one thing you should consider is that if something is dominating your thoughts throughout the day that has nothing to do with making your life better or keeping your head on straight, if it's about something you have no control over, you're doing it wrong.
yeah. Cast it aside because it's only going to be a wait.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The like I know people who legitimately let people live rent free in their head. And there are people who hate me that I live rent free in their head.
I sincerely hope that I have moved out of people's heads and I no longer live in there in any capacity.
Well, you had to deal with Seattle for Truth.
I had to deal with a lot of crazy people. One of them just popped up again on Twitter, and I I recognized the name and I just muted him just right off the bat. I'm like, I don't have time for your shit.
Yeah.
I literally do not have fucking time for it. Oh, gotta love the crazies.
Yeah. But that's
They
just
remind you
generally
that your life is that much better.
yeah, but that's just generally the thing. It's like you can't really let these sort of people get to you. You know, it's
Yeah.
Offense is normally taken, not given.
Yeah.
You know. And if
Yeah.
there are people in your life that consistently like take time to make your life worse, cut them out.
Yeah.
Just don't talk to them. I don't.
Yeah.
And I've had to do a lot of that recently. I've noticed that there were people around me that simply were not around me to make my life better or to help me or to be cool with me. They really just wanted to fuck around with me. And I'm like, I'm not playing these bullshit games.
Well, I think also being able to laugh at yourself is important in that way too. That way, like if they throw any insults at you, you pick it up and run with it.
Oh yeah.
And it's worthless to them after that.
Pretty much. I mean,
like what was it, the bearded thumb thing?
Yeah, fucking like one person whose head I live in rent free is Razor Fist at this point, because I stated that I'm not subscribed to him anymore, and he's getting his book published by white supremacist Vox Day, which again, Vox Day is a white supremacist.
Yeah, that's a fact. Let's be real.
That's not disputable at this point, you know, and he definitely overreacted. He's still mad about it, despite the fact that I didn't have any effect on the book, you know, and his like generic fantasy number 1732, you know.
It didn't do anything except made a Twitter thread. That's it.
Yeah, and by the way, it was one offhand comment, and everybody lost their fucking minds about it, and he just throws out some some insults. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, oh no, bearded thumb. So instead of rumored Russian agent, I changed it to rumored bearded thumb on my Twitter profile.
And see, that's what I mean. You pick up the insult, you know, something meant to denigrate you, and run with it, so it has no value anymore.
Because think about it, like, who the fuck are these people to me?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
He's just some weirdo from Arizona who wears guy liner unironically. You know? If I wanted opinions from hipsters, I'd go to San Francisco.
I mean, Asheville's a lot closer, but...
Fair point, but...
I wouldn't go there either.
Yeah, but just as it stands, like, it's not really something I care that much about. And the only reason that I mentioned it is that I think it's a bad idea. And people were offended over the idea that I thought it was a bad idea. Well, it's still a fucking bad idea. Get over yourselves.
Excuse me.
Fucking goofballs. So, but that's just the thing. Like, you just don't give them nothing. Take from them everything.
Render their ammunition inert.
Yeah. Because all these people have are words. They would never say this shit 3 feet away from you. You know, one of my favorite lines from a song is from Sweating Bullets by Megadeth. It says, "Just keep on thinking it's my fault and stay an inch or two out of kinking distance." You know? Like, I know the game, and I'm not gonna fucking play it. Grow up. You know?
I've always been told if they have the balls to make fun of you to your face, you just have the privilege of laughing in their face.
Pretty much. So yeah. Next question. Leonardo Juan wants to know. He says I called out people on Twitter called people out who are happy for Trump having COVID. Most of my friends blocked me on Twitter. Do you think it was the right thing?
To block you or to call them out?
Well, here's the thing about Twitter. Twitter sucks. Twitter's kind of cancer.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm kind of the opinion, like, if you're not getting paid for it, like, if people don't pay you for your opinions, don't even worry about it. On the flip, like, but then again, my first thought is that if they blocked you over that political opinion of people are assholes for wishing death on someone, they're probably not very good friends in the first place.
Yeah.
It's like, that's just common decency, you know?
Yeah.
Like, Why the fuck are you wishing death on someone
Seriously.
for what? Lowering your taxes? What's the deal? You know, aside from
Because
Orange Man bad.
evil.
Yeah.
Evil. Yeah, no, that's dumb. So yeah, no, call them out if they're acting like assholes, and if they block you for it, fuck them.
Yeah. Great friendship right there, you know?
Wonderful.
Some people just aren't worth it.
Believe people when they show you who they are.
Yeah. That's a very, very good advice from the Hatman. Let's see here. Brian Gilmartin says, what do you make of the idea that Trump getting COVID will somehow force him to learn some empathy? I don't think he wasn't empathetic towards people who had it, though.
Yeah.
I mean, he pushed and is pushing again for, people to get money to help with the relief.
Well, after walking away from the table once.
Yeah, which was a stupid idea because people didn't want him to walk away from the table.
Yeah, no. I think he changed his tune on that because he saw how deeply unpopular it was, especially with his base.
Well, he is a populist. I mean, that's to be expected.
Yeah. I mean, hey, if you listen to your constituents, that's a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. So, Melee Brawler asks us how we think the debate will go.
Well,
we'll have a lot to say about it on the podcast. We'll just put it that way.
Okay, so let's just so we can answer. But how did you predict that it was going to go?
Oh, I knew Pence would beat her.
Yeah,
Kamala Harris is not good in debates.
I figured that she was going to be smarmy and bitchy the whole time, and I was not disappointed.
Yeah. The one thing I found funny on Twitter is that woke Twitter thought that she was gonna walk away with it. She's like, they were posting gifs of her and stuff like that, like that face when you get to debate Mike Pence. I'm like, oh, you boys and girls are gonna be so disappointed. Like, you have no idea how bad she is at this.
They had to run defense too afterwards. Misogyny everywhere. But we'll talk about that on the podcast proper, because good Lord, there's a lot to laugh about.
Absolutely. And finally, Angry Green Boss says, what's your argument against the statistic that only 5% of Antifa protests turned into riots? Argued with the guy that said that Antifa is not generally violent. So, I actually did an article over on RT this week that where Michelle Obama said something very similar about Black Lives Matter. And then the Princeton Institute actually did like a map of where all the protests were and how many of them ended up turning into riots, and it's a lot more than 5%.
Yep. Yeah, it is. What I think is happening with those statistics, the 95% or 93% weren't violent. They're taking into account like really small demonstrations and protests. Like there was one in my city that was literally confined to a parking lot over the course of like an hour and a half, and that was it. Are you counting that as a nonviolent protest? Okay, if that's the case, yes, I'm certain that there were a ton of those around the country, but we're not talking about those tiny little local things. I mean, if 3 people show up with signs, does that really count as a nonviolent protest? Like we're talking the major metropolitan areas, the big cities, where yes, nearly every single one of them devolved into some kind of violence or demanded some kind of crowd control from law enforcement there. I mean, of course, most notably were Minneapolis and Portland. But it wasn't just them. For God's sake, Atlanta, I think everyone forgot about what happened in Atlanta. I mean, they tried to break into the freaking CNN building there.
Yeah.
That was crazy. New York City, it was almost like a nightly siege they tried to pull. Like, I can't help but wonder if it's just because, large cities attract those kinds of people. That's what we're looking at here.
Yeah.
Whereas, the I can't call it a bumfuck town anymore, because it's not like it is slowly becoming a major city, but still, like, it's not something that devolved into violence because it didn't last long enough.
Yeah.
I almost wonder if the longer a protest goes on, the more likely it is to turn into a riot. And also, if they're at night, I can't help but wonder if coordinating these at night kind of naturally leads into a riot situation.
Mm-hmm.
It would be interesting to see, now that I think about it, the time of day that all these nonviolent protests that didn't get violent took place.
That is an interesting line of questioning, that's for sure. All right, folks, that was our last question. And I'm not gonna lie, this entire time I have actually been playing games while I've been talking. But I will admit
Robot
that
Wars again?
no, actually, EA UFC. But
Okay.
the funny thing about it is it's sort of like I don't think I have ADD, but I am one of those people that when I'm doing something with my hands, I can think clearer.
I'm the same way. It's like
So
you have to have some kind of movement going on at all.
yeah, like I
Be
used
it
to
a restless leg or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
like back when I was in college, I would like do a Rubik's cube during speeches.
One of those guys. That was high school for me. We did Rubik's Cube stuff back then.
I think I
I
only
never got
solved the
into
damn
speed
thing
cubing
once.
though. I figured out I figured out how to solve it, or what you would call it, the main algorithm for it, but there was a guy that I knew who got like really deep into speed cubing, and I think his record was like 12 seconds at one point. It was it was crazy. But I never got into that. I don't think I had the patience for that. Probably not the intelligence either, let's be real. But no, yeah, I totally get that, because I like to do stuff with my hands. And y'all have probably seen me, like, if you go back and watch old podcasts, you can see me like fiddling with shit in my hands, on camera. It happens very, very frequently. I'll find shit on my desk and just pick it up and mess with it. But I don't know what it is. I don't think it's ADD or ADHD or something, but I don't know.
Oh goodness. Alrighty. See, other than all of that, the one thing I'm very excited for is when Invincible comes out on Prime. That will be great. All right, we are gonna go ahead and take off. I've actually got a stream to set up,
Oh shit.
and then
Okay.
yeah, Friday be the podcast, and we'll have some fun. That's for sure.
Hell yeah.
So until next time, folks. My name is Micah Curtis.
And I'm Alex Baldwin, and I'm going to go watch Leprechaun 4 in space.
So you're going to space to watch Leprechaun 4, or Leprechaun 4 takes place in space?
Leprechaun 4 takes place in space.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, just at least be back for the podcast tomorrow, partner.
I mean, I'll take a trip to space. Why the hell not?
Yeah. We'll see you later, folks. Days Volt.
Davis Bolt.